really excited when I was asked if I could introduce our speaker today. This is my friend Alicia Holloway. She's also brought her summer intern, Tatum is? Yes, so she's here with us today as well. So Alicia and I have worked together several times for all kinds of programs at the library for adults and for kids and families. So she's great. She does wonderful things in the community. Let me tell you a little bit about her. So she's the Agricultural and Natural Resources Agent and Public Service Associate Faculty Member at the Barrow County Office of the UGA Extension. She's a double dog and has degrees in agricultural education, honors interdisciplinary studies, and horticulture. I forgot to bring my glasses, so I can't read what's on here. And she lives and gardens with her husband and her 2 children here in Barrow County. So welcome, Alicia. We're excited to hear from you.
I'm very excited to come and speak to Rotary. I visited once with our UGA radon specialist, but I've never spoke to y'all since I've been here. So that makes the last time that I spoke at a Rotary meeting my senior year in high school, which I was also talking about some agricultural things at that day. So, you know, some things never change, but thank y'all for having me here today. Let me see, I think that's going to stay. I brought some handouts and some things. But before we get started, I am going to tell you just a little bit about what Extension is, because I want to make sure that all of you as individuals, your organizations and businesses are taking advantage of the opportunities and the services that we offer. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our upcoming programs. Hopefully some of y'all will be interested in participating in those. I do have one actual horticulture piece of information that I want to share with you. And let's see, and some ways to kind of keep in touch and where to find out information about what we do offer. But first, I do have some quiz questions, trivia. We'll call it trivia, not quiz. That kind of seems like a great thing. And you know, we don't have a whole lot of freebies, but I am going to give out for the people that answer the questions these handy dandy, lovely vegetable planting charts. I always plant these in yellow because I think they're golden information. And so, but it is really good if you do vegetable gardening. It kind of shows you the dates of when to plant what, you know, spacing, all that good stuff. So it's a nice little handy dandy one pager that I give out hundreds of, I feel like, every year. So my first question, so as Agriculture and Natural Resources Agent, I deal in a lot. So we do farm, we do natural resource, we do, you know, school gardens, lawns, gardens, a little bit of everything. And one of the things that we do is talk about farm gate value, which is, you know, how much agricultural products are worth coming off the farm. So as part of that, we actually document every year how many cows are in Barrow County. So who thinks they know how many cows are in Barrow County? We can do it.
I'll guess.
Yes.
750.
We add a 0 to that.
I was going to say 5,000.
All right, so we are actually close to 8,000. So I will give both of y'all a handy dandy chart.
What, just for answering? I was way wrong though.
You were
All right, my next question is, let's see, how many school and youth gardens do we think that we have in Barrow County?
17.
That is actually very close right now, and it's hard to gauge, right? Because a lot of times teachers leave at gardens, but we have at least 15, and we have had up to 23 youth gardens in Barrow County. As a follow-up to that question, how many students do you think have eaten produce from those gardens?
14,000.
Yeah.
Great guess. That is what we are hoping to get to right now. I do we give out seeds and transplants to the school gardens that Farm Bureau funds and sends Academy students grow out the transplants. And so we do our little survey on that order form. 2,000 students in Barrow County school system have eaten at least one mouthful of something that either they or their peers grew. So I think that's pretty exciting in terms of farm to school. And then last question, how many USDA grants do we currently have in Barrow County right now?
Unfortunately.
73? No, no, we do have probably other USDA services because USDA covers extension gets a little bit of USDA funding. But right now we actually have 3 kind of major grants in Barrow County. We have a farm to school grant that's awarded to the Wimberley Center that does a little bit with a bunch of different things, including some like school nutrition training. The farmers market, raise your hand if you've been to the farmers market. The farmers market, I'm glad to see so many hands go up, is funded through a grant, USDA grant right now. And also we have Grow It Know It, which is trying to remember, I think NIFA is the grant name. I can't remember what it stands for, but that supports teachers that are learning how to utilize those school garden spaces. So those are just, and I wanted to pick those questions just to kind of show you the variety of things that Extension works with and deals with. So we get to do a little bit of everything from the farms to the school gardens and everywhere in between. So Extension and our new, every organization goes through kind of rebranding every few years and gets a new mission statement. So right now Extension has added a new one, which I really like, and it's we translate the science of everyday living for farmers, families, and communities to foster a healthy and prosperous Georgia. So my role in that, I kind of like the title of Translator of Science. That appeals to me a little bit, but we work with farmers, landowners, gardeners, all of that good stuff to give them information about, to be more successful in whatever their goals are. So some specific things that I work with, raise your hand if you have a lawn or a garden or a farm. Right, so almost everyone here. So raise your hand if you've ever had problems or questions about your garden or lawn or farm. All right, so see a lot of hands there. You can call me 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and ask me any kind of lawn, garden, farm question. Whether it's how high do I need to mow my turf? When do I need to fertilize? How do I need to fertilize? What is this pest that is eating my tomato? I'm government service and I'm there to answer all of these questions. And we get a range of questions for sure. So definitely, give me a call. And if I don't know the answer, because there are a lot of things that can go wrong in a lawn or garden setting, right? There are a lot of insects and diseases and problems. If I don't know the answer, we have 138 specialists at the University of Georgia and one of them will have the answer or find the solution. So we do consultations and we do site visits. I will come out to your house to look and see what is killing your shrub or bush or tomato. We also do soil and water testing. Anybody live on well water? No? Okay. So that is not applicable, but soil testing, if you have a lawn or garden, and you're fertilizing, pretty much everyone needs to be doing soil testing at some point so you can fine tune. It's hard to know how much fertilizer you need if you don't know what's in your soil. So I do have in my bag everybody gets a free soil test bag. Oh, where did that put them? I might have taken them out of my bag too. I have them over here. I don't know what I did with my free soil test bags. However, if you come to the office, you can get a free soil test bag. The soil test is not free. It is $10, but that's just one of the services that we offer at the Extension office. And lawn and garden, it's important. Vegetable garden, it's important, but it's really essential to our farmers.
A couple of years ago, when UGA came and spoke to us, and they offered that, I did it, y'all. That was the year that I thought I was going to be a big farmer and I was going to make this big garden. And it really did help. Like all the stuff that came out of my soil, I went and bought all the stuff and mixed everything, and I had beautiful vegetables that year. It was a lot of work, not cooking.
Right.
It really helped.
Yeah, and it does. So it's hard to know, what your plants may need if you don't know what they have access to. So we do soil testing. again, we also do, I will come out and do consultations one-on-one, right? If you got an issue, if something is going wrong. But we also do community consultations. So if your organization is wanting to start a community garden, I can talk to you about best practices, about what to do, what not to do. If you're doing a tree planting project or a pollinator project, I'm there as a resource, can walk you through that. And then really the biggest thing, in classes, so if you have organization and you want me to come and talk about, how to grow a vegetable garden, how to do native bee nesting box, what to plant to bring pollinators to your space, we offer classes and we'll teach in the community as well. So we do a little bit of everything, but to me, one of the most important things that we do through Extension is collaboration with community groups. So I saw a lot of hands of you raising your hand that you have been to the farmer's market. That was actually started as an extension project. Of course, it's not an extension project alone, it's a huge collaborative project, but we were able to work together with different community members to get that going and to get that started. So if you have a project in mind, if you see something that you would like to have in the community, that relates to plants and growing things, definitely reach out and let me know, because I'd be happy to be involved with that and get those resources together. A couple of things that we have coming up that I wanted to share with you. One is Master Naturalist program, Master Gardener program. So who's heard of Master Gardener Extension volunteers? Okay, only a couple hands. Good. So when I talk about the programs we do, it is just me. And we have more requests than I can keep up with. So there are folks that want us, presentations, that want us to come out and have booths in the community. And of course, when you start talking about school gardens and community gardens and pollinator gardens, there's a lot of space for work in all of those that I can't do alone. And so we have these wonderful folks. This is a very new program that has just started, Master Gardener Extension volunteers. And they get 40+ hours of training in horticulture, everything from pruning to soils to, even just like the water and hydrology. They go really in depth in terms of this horticulture knowledge so that they can share it with you. So they had their debut this past Saturday at the farmer's market. They had a help desk there so folks could come up and ask questions. We're going to try to do that once a month through the remainder of the market. So if you have questions, look for those dates on the farmer's market calendar so you can go and talk to them. But they're also doing projects. They're getting one started at the senior center to go do a gardening series with those folks once a month, do some crafts, get some, knowledge, talk about the Joro spiders. Anybody seen the Joro, the golden orb? Share some of that kind of information. So yeah, again, it's a training program where you learn a lot of horticulture information, but then you're asked to give that information back to the community. And we can use a lot of different skills. So if you think you would be interested in being a Master Gardener volunteer, I have a paper to pass around. If you just put your name, and then we'll start advertising really in November, December, and then the program will be next spring. And this year was the first year that we've had a hybrid program, as so many people have had to switch to online. And it'll be partially online, so all of the content will be online, but then we'll come together in person for 4 4-hour workshops where it's all hands-on, where we're going to do things like propagating plants and learning how to build raised beds and build irrigation systems. So if any of that sounds really fun and exciting to you, and kind of activities that you like to do, definitely sign up. Yes?
Yeah, question, those 4 classes that you said, 4 hours, which day or what time we be able to do?
Yeah, this past year we did them on Fridays, and we did it 1 to 5 to try to match, because we actually did have a lot of folks that are still working that attended. So we'll probably try to do that. It makes it a little harder, for the setup and takedown, but I'd rather just do it half a day for those working folks. It'll probably be Fridays again, but it'll just kind of see what it is. So yeah, that'll be coming up again next spring.
Is that the same program they offer at the state of town?
It may not be now. They used to offer it at Botanical Gardens, so they may meet there, but it's actually through the Clark County office. But yes, I think that's probably what you're talking about. Again, it's 40 hours of learning, but then you're going out in the community to do all kinds of different things. We have lots of, you know, there's lots of things that we
Garden
do.
club in our community.
Yes.
We do.
The garden club now, I don't know if they've started meeting again. They were meeting at the extension office, but it's been a good year and a half. So I don't know. That's a good, I need to reach out to them and see what they're doing, but it's the Winder Garden Club.
Yeah.
And they do a little bit here and there. Actually, one of the members is one of the new master gardeners. So they're a fun group.
That'd be a good idea for program.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then I'm trying to watch my time because I get really excited about extension and I go over. My next program that I'd like to share with you is Master Naturalist. And if you have anywhere that you can stick this in a building, or if you want to take one, you know, just of your own, definitely feel free to do that. So where the Master Gardener Extension Volunteer is all about, you know, the learning so you can share with your community. Master Naturalist really is just for fun. So if you're the kind of person that walks, you know, through a hiking trail and is looking at the plants going, oh, that's a really cool plant. I wish I knew what that was. Or that's a really neat, you know, bird call. I wish I could identify and know by the sound what bird that is. This would be a program you'd probably like. We do a lot of just one ID, learning, you know, what are the animals that are native to Georgia. We have tons of guest speakers. We do a field trip to the annex. So I don't know if you've ever been to the Georgia Natural History Museum, which is in Athens. I've never been, but when we asked one of the people to speak, she invited us to meet at the annex because it was a little in between Athens. It's next to Sam's Club. So it was a little more convenient coming from Winder to me there. But the annex is full of hundreds of specimens, like there are whale bones in the corner. You know, there are birds and bats and things along the walls. It's really kind of a crazy place. We go there and have a talk and see all of those things. Well, actually, for this year's Master Naturalist, they'll come away certified as a, what is that name? Of course, it's going to like slip my tongue right as I get there. The stream, not clean a stream, adopt a stream, thank you. So the adopt a stream program that kind of monitors our waterways will actually get certified to be an adopt a stream person through this Master Naturalist training. So again, feel free to share. I'd love to have some of you participate. It'll be Tuesdays from, I think it's on there, but it's like a 9 to 3 or 10 to 3 rather. Tuesdays, 9 in a row, starting in September. 10 to 4, thank you. And we had changed it last year. So please share that. And then something else, another program that I would like to share with you. This is a statewide program, and I don't have enough of these for everyone, but if you have a great pollinator space in your yard, please take and pass. So has anyone heard of the issues we've had with pollinators? A lot of heads nodding, right? Generally, we know that our numbers are in decline, and that's a problem, right? We need pollinators, pollinator agricultural crops. We need pollinators to keep our native ecosystems thriving, right? To pollinate those wildflowers. And if any of you, any people, bird watchers, anybody in the room, or just like watch the insects, if you have really nice insect populations, you're going to have good bird populations too, right? Because they're the bottom of the food chain. So the really important reasons that we want to watch out for those pollinators and keep sure that those numbers. Well, the Georgia Pollinator Census project is a citizen science project that's started by our, actually our school garden coordinator in the state. And it is a citizen science project where you actually just go and find a pollinator plant, find something blooming, watch it for 15 minutes, and then you make a tally count of what you see landing. Now, they're not going to ask you to identify things down to the species. They're going to give you really broad categories like carpenter bee. Carpenter bees are easy to see because they have shiny hindies, is what we tell the kids, right? You know, the bumblebees are fuzzy. So in those packets, it has information of how to identify the carpenter bees and bumblebees. And so you'll actually sit and tally. And once you've spent your 15 minutes, it's August 20th and 21st, They always have it kind of later in the season because there's a lot of things blooming and kids are back in school, so kids can participate in this as well. But you just watch tally and then put it in that system, and they actually use that data from all of these people in counties all across Georgia to see what species that we have present, what plants they're on. They've come up with some really cool data. So if you have a pollinator space in your yard or at your business, I really encourage you to go ahead and put that on your calendar to participate. And then also, if you do not have a pollinator space in your garden, you should call me and we can get together on working on what should go into that. So we cover Master Gardener, Master Naturalist, and the Pollinator Census. And then one more thing that I want to cover, and this is something, I have these also if you have a business or place. This has the information about the Pollinator Census. Every year for the past couple years, I've written an article about this for the newspaper. This past year, because this article headline would have had to contain the word virus, I'm like, I can't bring myself to write about any kind of virus. We've had enough of that. And this year's been kind of the same, but there is a virus that I think you could also call a pandemic that is going around in the plant world. And that is Rosette's disease. Has anyone, raise your hand if you have knockout roses in your yard or business.
We do not have them.
If you do have them, if you have knockout roses, you can see that's the majority of the folks in here have a knockout rose. And there is a virus that is going around called Rosette's disease that basically means that you need to take up that rose and burn it. And I would say that about 50% of the homes that I visit has a rose that is infected. Hospital, y'all's are good. I looked at them coming into the door. And for a while, I felt like I was that until we shut down, kind of that crazy person that was going into business being like, hey, did you know that your roses are infected? You need to do something about that. Mostly they just kind of give you really strange looks and nod at that. But I would encourage you to check, because I don't know if any of y'all remember red tips. And the issue of that, you know, everybody had red tips for a shrub and then they got the disease and then you couldn't plant them anymore. We're not going to be able, unfortunately, to keep planting knockout roses if we don't get a handle of this. And of course, anytime you go past any place selling plants, there are tons of them, hundreds of them still being planted. And what it does, I'll can pass these around as well. A couple of things when you go home, check for this evening. One, you're going to get thorns, lots and lots of thorns that are really soft and pliable. So where you would normally in a rose kind of expect thorn, 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 you're going to have hundreds right there at the tip. And they're going to be really soft. You're going to see excessive amount of red growth. And new growth is red coming up from knockout roses, right? Like that's normal. But if you see an excessive amount of redness, and also like witch's fern, which is where you have lots of growths coming out from one single point, and it'll look funky. Like you'll be able to tell that it does not look correct. But if you're not paying close attention, you're probably not going to notice that. So I did want to bring, again, I hate to bring another virus to the table that is a concern, but I see this everywhere.
Is this regionally, or like not necessarily in Tennessee or my mother has
So it was found only in the 70s, so it's fairly new. Now it was found, I think, in Colorado. So it's kind of everywhere. I don't think it has been as bad in the Southeast until now, and I don't know if it's just because of the proximity to Atlanta that it's an issue, but you know, we have more folks here than we've had before. So when you have lots of houses side by side, you know, it's a mite that actually spreads it. So mite goes, bites the infected rose. The wind blows because they're really tiny, it can blow them up to a mile. Well, there's a pretty good chance that it's going to land, you know, on another. So it is not something I'm called out for very often to do site visits, but it's something that I find almost everywhere that I do go and try to at least point out. So I wanted to at least include one kind of piece of information that you could take with you today. And then, do I have any more time?
Sure.
Does anyone have any questions on any kind of programs, ideas for programs that you would like to see in the community.
This is not about a program, but with the development going on in Barrow County, is there any forecast on what's going to happen to farmland in the county over the next decade?
I am so glad that you asked that. So something, I actually had a meeting with our county manager last week, because something that has been on my mind pretty much since I started is protecting farmland. There aren't any forecasts that I know, but then I wouldn't necessarily be the one that would receive those land use. But something that there is there are farmland preservation programs. One of the most popular of these is a USDA grant, where the farmer gets the difference in the ag value of the land and the development value of the land. They get paid the difference to keep that as farmland for 100 years. And in this program, the USDA kicks in 50% of that money. The farmer kicks in, 25%, basically, that he's not going to get of that difference. And then oftentimes you have a regional match, a local match. And in Oconee, that is the commission, the county commission. They use like 0.5% of loss coming in to go towards that. It's something that I think would be good in Barrow County, just because if you go down any major roadway, you see farmland for sale. And I know in our comprehensive plan, after traffic, which is a legit thing to have, number one in Barrow County as a concern, the number two most prominent question was that Barrow County preserve green space and preserve open land. Well, all this open land is agricultural land, right? So it's definitely something that I think needs community action. So if anyone is interested in teaming up for that, or has land they would like to put into that conservation, let me know.
We need to talk about conservation reserve, because I know we've had our farm as conservation reserve.
So there are a couple of different things. There is and I don't know the details of this, most farms are in some kind of conservation that's 1 or 2 years, and they're going to get a tax break because of this. So this particular farmland conservation program is 100-year. And so you're going to keep that farmland around for a pretty long time. And otherwise, we are going to look a lot like Gwinnett in the next 10 to 20 years. And it's happening really fast. We're losing that land. So if you want to hear more about that, there are some great contacts at Athens Land Trust and the Conservation Fund that I can get you in touch with.
I noticed it here that you had that Carpenter Bees. Do they
So the Carpenter Bees we have on there, as part of that Pollinator Census, and they are a good species to have around, right? Because they're pollinators. But so what you can do to give them other alternatives, because a lot of times the issue with those is that our yards are too clean. We don't have the spaces that our pollinators need. So if you have, a dead log somewhere in the back of your yard that is going to be found, just leave that. So leave some, I hate to say debris because it sounds like something that the homeowners association is going to fine you for. But if you have other wooden things that they can bore into, like we do the native nesting boxes at the library, have some dead wood that they can use. If they do get into areas that are structural, basically, there's lots of sprays and different things that you could do, but what you need to do is get a wire and stick it in that hole, because that's basically where the next generation is coming from. So, I mean, it seems cruel to,
So you're not a fan of those little things that have the jar on them, crack them?
You may get a couple, but they're not necessarily.
Cool. They die, that's probably not good.
Yeah.
Not people cracking them and killing them.
And you guys in the Old Testament put the sacrifice out there. That card, it's like, to save my deck, here's your sacrifice.
Right. I mean, having an alternative that is not, having something that they can use is ideal. But I mean, they are a structural problem. If you see them in there, though, just if they already have holes somewhere else, just the wire in, because what they're doing, those holes, that's where they're laying their eggs. So they'll make little, cavern, lay an egg,
Yeah.
put a wall, lay another egg. So you'll have
Like a
several
metal wire hanger?
Mhm.
Okay.
and just hook it through there and then plug it up. So, yeah. All right. Anything else? Well, thank y'all so much for letting me come and talk to y'all about plants.
So Alicia, each week we donate a book in our speaker's honor to Winder Public Library, and yours is Look Out Leonard. So there's a space in here where you can sign it, give a little note of advice to future gardeners of the world.
All right, well, thank y'all.
All right, now we need to do a drawing. And what are we, what are they winning? That's what they're winning? All right.
You can read long numbers.
218-5254.
Oh, the
Bill, what?
Finally.
All right.
Sit right down.
How much did I get?
26.
Whoa.
The
I thought
card
you were
that he's
making me
drawing
wait.
for, what is it? Tamika? 147.50 is the Queen of Hearts.
Queen of Hearts. Okay, I'm not quite here. Queen of Diamonds.
Oh. All right, well, before we retreat, I missed a few announcements, so getting them at the end just means you'll remember it better, right? So, happy hour today at 5. I'll be there probably between 4:30 and 5 if you want to join me. And next week, Richard, you have the program. If you'll get with Julia and let her know what you've got planned for us then, and remember, next week we will be at Latin Flavors. So,
Everybody wear your Mickey ears.
ooh, wear your Mickey ears if you didn't hear him. All right, so if everyone will stand, we'll do a 4-way test and get out of here. So, of the things we think, say, or do, first,
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?